Hello again and welcome to another episode of the Franchise Everything podcast where we talk about everything and anything franchising, and this time we're at the Pack and Send headquarters offices in Sydney and I'm joined by country manager Nicholas Woodward. How are you going?
Hey Glenn, great to be here.
Great, thanks for having us.
No
Beautiful Sydney, a bit rainy it was
Yeah,
yesterday.
so we had a lot of rain, and would you believe last night I was driving home, hit a pothole and ended up with a flat. So
No way, that never happens.
you would never imagine me standing there on the side of the road trying to remember how to change a tyre.
Oh, you didn't call someone in to do it?
No, I thought I can do it myself.
I would just call someone to do it.
And
you pay for it, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, mate, well, I'm
But I
happy
made
that
it here today.
You've had a better day. You've had a better day so far. So thanks for joining us, mate. And thanks for inviting us to be part of this. And I always wanted to chat with you about this because we've connected quite a few times over the years and everything at expos and things like that and national franchise conventions. But I wanted to sit down and have a chat with you from the perspective of you being a franchise business leader of Pack and Send. We were talking briefly before that you're a very different. I've done a number of franchise business leader interviews, but yours is quite unique. Is that you've had a full career experience through Pack and Send, haven't you? You've started from the
Ground
start
level, yeah,
all the way through to now. How many years with Pack and Send?
18 years.
18 years. So you're a veteran of the Pack and Send business, and your country manager role now is essentially like a GM or CEO, is it?
Correct.
Yeah. So why is it country manager? What's
So
the rationale for that?
that's part of the structure of our global business now, that each of the countries, the specified title for those running the local market is country manager.
Okay. All right. So that clears it up. So, all right, where did it all start? So what's your background before you got to Pack and Send? So you're 18 years now. So what did you start? So you were uni, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah,
How
I
did it progress?
studied business information systems at university, and I was wondering, did I want to head down the IT path? Did I want to head down the business path? And I decided that IT is great, but I'd much prefer to become a businessman, but with the skills and expertise in the IT area.
So what was the thing that you didn't love about the IT space? You didn't want to go into that tech?
In uni, you do the programming subjects, you do the engineering subjects, and I much preferred the subjects on strategy, on business, on commerce, those sorts of things, and the business application of IT.
To the practical side.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, and you studied, you said you studied there?
Business in information systems.
Yeah, and what was your progression out of there? So what were you looking for coming out of uni?
Yeah, so I at the time was working at Coles supermarkets, and I was enjoying the logistics side of that and the retail side. So I was open to anything really, and I didn't know anything about franchising at the time.
So were you doing that as part-time while at
Yeah,
uni?
it was basically part-time at uni, and it evolved into full-time after uni, and it was a case of, is this an opportunity for a career, or do I look elsewhere?
So why not Coles? Why not that sort of space?
Because I was open to opportunities. I wanted to start somewhere where I could really dig my teeth in and be exposed to a broad experience. And would you believe, I found the Pack and Send ad in the newspaper. So flicking through
style.
on the weekend, old school style.
Yeah.
And it kind of ticked all the boxes. It said retail, logistics, starting at the ground level, being exposed to a broad area of skills and so on. So I applied, went through.
Was it in the job section inside the newspaper?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like about that thick now,
that's
but it used
right.
to be that thick?
Correct.
Yeah.
And so I applied, went through the process. And funny story that my very first job on my resume at the time was I was delivering newspapers.
Yeah.
And so they were writing down, so he's been involved in delivery.
So
and
you're in logistics.
Yeah, so I've been in logistics
Riding your BMX.
since the very beginning, absolutely. Mum used to fold the newspapers while I was at school, and I'd get home and then I'd jump on the bike or I'd walk around the streets delivering the newspapers.
Excellent. So you were born to be in logistics.
Absolutely.
But without knowing it at the time.
Correct.
So you Pack and Send. So what was the role you applied for at Pack and Send to come in?
So the role was for an assistant manager at head office. Which I didn't really know what that meant, but it sounded like a great idea at the time. And so I arrived on my first day and they had business cards printed. So Nicholas Woodward, assistant manager. You
would have felt pretty
and
special.
I was like, wow, I've made it. Yeah. I have arrived. And I started in the marketing department. It was a marketing team of one and it had become two.
And what's the marketing team now?
So the marketing team now it's 3 in Australia and we've also got someone in the Philippines.
Yep.
And we're backed by our global marketing team in Milan as well.
Significantly bigger now.
Correct.
Yeah. So okay, you got there. So you was one marketing, but now you became two. So what was the role and what were you doing?
So the role was basically like a marketing coordinator. So facilitating and managing Yellow Pages listings at the time. We just launched a brand new website back then, which it had all the bells and whistles.
And what year was that? Was 2000?
2005.
So what type of website was that?
So I think we just moved away from our Flash website, if you remember Flash, and this was the looked graphically impressive. It had all the icons and all the tech ready for the SEO boom. Mm-hmm. So that's how it was set up, and my role was to administer that, help out with the other marketing initiatives that we'd be doing back then, which was a lot of newspaper advertising, bit of radio campaigns, all those sorts of things.
So the newspaper campaigns, so for those, many people may be listening to this might not have been exposed to that at all. So can you tell us about how the mechanics were of newspaper campaigns and lead generation back then?
Yeah, so for our model, we didn't go for the big ads. We didn't have the budget in our national advertising
for taking
fund.
a big space in the paper.
Yeah. For us, a core part of our local area marketing strategy was for our franchise owners to take a space to advertise shipping services. It could be sea freight, or it could be air freight services, or urgent overnight premium services. And typically what we'd try and do is get to the last minute rates. So the cheapest possible rates, where they'd run a deal saying, hey, we need to fill a quarter size of a page. So we'll then say, here's the ad template, and I would help the franchise partner organise it with a local newspaper. Mm-hmm. And so this could be in Sydney. We could try and coordinate one for a group of the stores, or it could be in a regional area, just helping them set it up. Because the franchise partner doesn't know anything about placing newspaper ads.
Course.
I didn't know much at the time, to be honest, but I kind of learnt on the job how to go about that, and to, when there's an opportunity, to say this is great value. And then back then it was all about advertising a big phone number. Mm-hmm. And of course, it was really the early stages of advertising the website and really getting legs off sending them to our website and then getting them to fill out an inquiry form.
From your memory, what was it like at that time transitioning people from responses on newspaper and then to website? Was it hard to bounce people to a website then, or were they still just always wanted to use the phone? What was that like?
It was quite interesting seeing how people were happy to embrace a change because it was new and exciting. The fact we had a web logo, that was the thing back then in the mid-2000s. Yeah, well, we had a graphic designer instead of just paxen.com.au. It was this fancy design www, and it was a special font to advertise that this is our website. It was the thing to do, but that was short-lived. But it was a good way of demonstrating that we saw ourselves as being a leader in this, trying new things. We were very quick and very early to get involved in the pay-per-click advertising. And for us, that was a whole new world of lead generation at the time, because not many people were doing it. No. And you were paying such a small amount.
Cheap, wasn't it?
Per click. So it was all about the cost per click. And then, of course, you'd start measuring your cost per acquisition and so on. And it was like you just throw a bit more money at it. And then all of a sudden you get all these new leads. And we had so many leads, we didn't know what to do with them. But over time, of course, the costs increased significantly. And now it's much more complicated. We've got hundreds of campaigns running and 10,000 keyword combinations that our marketing team now run through a specialist agency.
I suppose it's interesting, and if you cast your mind back, so it was fairly not too complex, but fairly complex for franchise partners. So your assistants were required to help them place highly effective newspaper ads. That's not that different now in the way that it's actually quite complex to actually master Facebook and Instagram and lead generation with that. So do you see much parallel still in how difficult it was then, and they need just as much, if not more, support now for lead generation advertising?
Absolutely. It's as easy as ever to set up your own Facebook page or Instagram page, but we made the decision very early on that we're going to manage it on behalf of our network, because we knew that it's easy to get started, but it's very hard to maintain and manage it going forward, and also to ensure that it gives you the results that you're looking for.
It's very easy to just keep throwing dollars at it, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Just keep spending on the credit card.
That's right. And so we provide that support to our network. We over recent years have taken advantage of like the Facebook geo-targeting. So what we have been able to do is we've got 129 stores in Australia now, run 129 geo-targeted campaigns within a very close proximity to the franchise location, which is something that I never thought we could ever do to that level of detail. It's
amazing, isn't it? Yeah, for that.
But it's very different to just setting up the Facebook page and posting a few photos. So it ties into our overarching strategy of trying to generate more leads for our franchise partners.
So, okay, so how long did you stay in that marketing role that you first came in at? Because obviously you were going pretty well.
Yes.
And you moved on through the business because you're still here.
Yeah, that's right.
So what was the next progression from there?
So the next progression around 2008, 2009, my role changed to a business systems manager. So it was identified that I had the IT skills. So I never wanted to be called the support desk, but I ended up being the guy being looked to, and sometimes I still am, to fix the thing, or the projector's not working, or something's not happening on the computer. But I enjoy that part of it.
So you still get to put your head under the hood every now and then.
Every now and then, although they say get out of the way because you're going to break something. Yeah. That's
because you're removed from it now. You don't know all the new stuff.
That's right. So in 2008, 2009, my role had expanded, and it was really focusing on the business system. Pack and Send has been around 30 years, and back then we had a very structured and strong operating model in terms of the systems, the suppliers that we used, how to do things in store operationally. And my focus at the time was to roll out a new point of sale system. And at the same time as that, we were also expanding into New Zealand. So we secured a master licensee in New Zealand, and I helped them set that up.
And it was around 2008, I think you said.
Yes, late 2008.
Yeah. So, and I just lost my train of thought. What I was going to ask you next, then, but with the New Zealand market there, so how did that progress? Did you get more involved in that from back here, or were you stationed over there for a while?
No, so I was based here. They came over for a month's worth of training, and so they were trained here, and then they went back to set up the store, taking all of our intellectual property and brand identity manual, and so set up a pilot location in Riccarton, Christchurch. I then was able to go over and help train them. And then it was up to them as a master licensee to run the system over there. And then my role was to help support them in their growth.
And I think something we haven't touched on is exactly, probably even doubling back, we probably should have done at the start, the role that Pack and Send plays in the marketplace, and how has that changed? Maybe have you seen it change that much since when you started through till now? So you can just touch on the role that you're actually playing, because I think that fits into relevancy for what we're talking about going forward. Yeah,
definitely. So Pack and Send is we're a value-added reseller of packing and shipping services for business customers and consumers as well. The way that the model has changed is that we've been well known to a certain extent over the years through to our retail network for people can come in with their unpacked items and we can package it up and ensure that it arrives. But that's a very small part of our overall offering. We're a solutions provider and we see ourselves as a one-stop shop. And that is primarily for businesses, small businesses who need access to a range of shipping solutions that they might not be able to get direct with a carrier themselves.
Because you also need an account and everything like that.
Yeah, you need an account. Yeah. You normally need a minimum number of shipments per week. You need, and depending on your volumes, you may not get access to quality pricing. So we provide the full solution and can build you could call it a bespoke or a custom solution for you based on what your needs are. Are you shipping locally? Are you sending interstate? Do you need overnight or priority services? Do you also need to send overseas? So we can build a full solution for you, and then you can then call us first. We can either pick it up from your location or you can drop it off as well.
Because shipping can be quite complex. I remember printing books years ago and trying to get international delivery and everything. It's quite intimidating as a small business owner trying to figure all that out.
And further to that, the small business owner doesn't have the time or the resources in-house. They don't have a logistics manager or a procurement manager. And often it's left to the receptionist or the office manager or even the small business owner left to figure out the hassles of organising the shipping sort of things.
Yeah, very
so
challenging.
That's where we come in And there's nothing better than watching a local franchise partner go into a small business, explain their services, and then they can build a relationship. So when you call a carrier or a big company, typically the first thing they ask is, what's your account number?
Yeah.
Where we build personal relationships on the ground in the local area, and the best thing about it is watching small businesses grow, being supported by our franchise partners.
Excellent. Okay, so it sort of really fits in with where you are in the market. So, okay, so you're doing the business systems. Where to from there? So you did New Zealand business systems and that. And what was your progression? How long did you stay in that role?
So I stayed in that role about 3 or 4 years. At the time, I also was exposed to the field support and operations area. I had a portfolio of stores to look after, and I was regularly in the field doing field support activities.
So that's really direct franchise.
Yes, being
franchise
like
partner
a business coach, supporting them. And I, whether I liked it or not, became the go-to guy for like the operational matters, because I knew the system inside and out. And at the same time, I was leading the rollout of our point of sale system at the time, and had the opportunity to travel around all of Australia to install and to train the franchise partners on using the software. I didn't complete the rollout because I then realised it was easier to train the field support managers, so the train the trainer concept, so they could then know the software as well.
So what was your take on that from your experience with field support? What was your learnings from that as far as what franchise owners need? So what franchise owners need, what they need to support to be successful, and the type of attitudes and information you get and feedback you get back from them?
Yeah, one of the biggest learnings was that many, they see the system, but then they think, well, they know a better way. But so often it's clear that just following the system is the baseline, and it works. It really confirmed to me that we've got a strong business model, and the system, when followed in the right way, is successful. And what then I identified is that the entrepreneurs, those that take the system and then identify local opportunities in their local market, add their X factor, their personality, relationship building, going out there, trying new things, finding new opportunities in their local market. They're the ones that really took it to the next level.
It's a fine balance, isn't it? So every franchise has got this system and follow the process, follow the system, but you also want this balance of entrepreneurialism from them, but you don't want them to go too far against this. So how do you balance it? How do you explain that entrepreneurialism with a franchise partner? How do you see that?
Yeah, so I would much prefer someone very entrepreneurial who can see and understand the benefits of the system and then make it their own in their local area, ensuring that the brand standards are met and the core systems are followed. Much more than someone who thinks their role is to just sit inside the shop and wait for the phone to ring. So that's the first thing in terms of we are looking for people with strong interpersonal skills that are happy to get out there and to build their own networks in their local area. And then once you've got people that understand the system, they know how to follow it, and then our role then becomes, well, how do we keep them on the right track? If they're veering outside the lane, then we can do that. Keep them within the guide rails, and also learn something that we're missing that we may be able to replicate nationally. There's been so many examples where we've seen a franchise owner go in, identify a customer opportunity, and we've learned, well, how can we replicate that nationally? All of a sudden, it's a new market segment that we weren't servicing before. Events is a classic example where that we've got some franchise partners near convention centres that do wonderful work, working with the convention centres to ensure that instead of people trying to time it to the minute,
which can be very difficult. I know, having done many expos.
Correct. So. But it can be organised through pack and send, where it comes to our store, and then we can, in our local van, go and deliver it. And so that's something, well, they're doing a great job of that in Brisbane. Let's replicate that and ensure that the franchise owners near the exhibition centre in Perth and in Sydney and in Melbourne are doing the same thing. So again, it's one of the benefits of franchising.
It's interesting, we're talking about the guide rails there, or guardrails, whichever you want to refer to it as. I suppose those guardrails from a franchise and any franchise brand, it's really risk mitigation, isn't it?
Yeah.
So stepping too far out of those, you could go into the wrong area and cost yourself some money.
Yes, and there's there's
money
areas
or
of
business. Yeah.
significant risk and great importance. The brand is a great example that franchise partners sometimes want to be their own marketing director, and they come up with these weird and wonderful ideas that sound great, and they could spend a lot of money, or it could be a case of, well, here's what's worked in 100 other locations. This is what we strongly encourage you to do. And then, of course, there needs to be times where we just say that's not part of our system, that doesn't fit either the values or the system at all, and we need to bring them back into alignment. But that's more on the rare occasion. Like I said, it's more supporting them, how we can help them extract the maximum value from their local area.
Okay, so you're doing a bit of field stuff.
Yes.
And you're pulling away from that, you train the trainer and that sort of stuff for field support people. So what was the next progression then? So you obviously progressed through the ranks. So you had all of this grounding. What was the next move? Obviously into more senior leadership.
Yeah, the next move
what were you thinking then? What was your next desire or your next hope before I rudely cut you off there?
No,
where were you hoping to go? What was your vision?
My vision was I saw the opportunity, and the way I approached it was that I just kept wanting to grow, to be exposed to new areas of the business, and to be without thinking of it being in more senior positions or management. I just wanted to be thrown new opportunities to have a go at, to be exposed to new areas. So around 2012, around that time, my role then changed to operations and innovation manager.
Yep.
And at the time, we were going through reviewing how we could launch an online channel as part of our business, to take the business multi-channel. Because at the time, one of the biggest challenges we were facing, and we'd seen it in other industries, the boom of online. Yep. It was very much the early days, and there were fears on, well, what would happen to retail? Yeah. It was all about
would we even need retail
stores? The bricks and clicks. Yeah. It's like, how can it work? It's in competition with each other.
And there's massive tension around that time,
and if we go online, then we're abandoning the retail business. And there was a lot of concerns from the franchise partners at this time. What was the future of our business going to look like? Because the market was growing, new online competitors had entered the market and were doing quite well. There was a lot of disruption at the time. So working with the CEO and founder at the time, we built our own online platform where we were able to offer to customers an online solution where if they wanted to do it themselves, then they could book and pay online. And so that was a game changer for our business, because it took us multi-channel. So we had the bricks and mortar, and then we had the online booking platform.
And importantly, that a lot of that work was still done by local stores, wasn't it?
Yes, correct. So we then had effectively the two channels where someone could book online and do it themselves, and there wasn't much involvement from the franchise partner required. And we still had the full offering, the full service capability available in store. And my role at the time was I helped build the strategy around that and then manage the new online platform when it was launched. So my role then became operations and innovation manager, overseeing a lot of the operations of the network, but also in addition to that, managing this new online channel as well. And I'm pleased to say that it did wonders not just for the online part of our business, but it did wonders for our retail network as well. Because from a brand positioning point of view, it really aligned with our full service offering. So convenience and flexibility are some core tenets of pack and send, and this just made it another convenient way for customers to connect with us.
Was there a lot of resistance to change in the online stuff, especially within the network?
There was. It was more fear of what was going to happen to the retail side of the business. That was it going to devalue the retail business because we were offering a competitive online product, which was at a lower price point because it was positioned as a do-it-yourself and pay less. So if a customer was happy to go online, book it themselves, print the labels, pack the item themselves, ensure it met the relevant standards, then we were happy for them to do so, when we've got many customers using that still today. Or it was a great lead generation tool for customers that had more complex needs, where online didn't suit their requirements. So it then ended up becoming another lead source for our franchise network.
Did you recall franchisees exiting or wanting to exit because of it? So
yeah, we did have disruption internally, but we I think did a good job of managing the expectation and ensuring that the franchise partners, they partnered in the success of this. So under their agreements, there was no access to online revenue. There was no access to this online channel because they'd bought a retail franchise with a territory. So we created what we call an alternate distribution channel, which gave our franchise partners access to be able to share in the income and the profit that's generated from the online self-service
question, doesn't it?
offering.
That would have been the main question would have been, where's that money going?
Yeah, correct.
It's going back into the network.
Yes. So that's 10 years on. It's now a core part of our offering. It's still not the biggest part because we've implemented some new technology since then to target a different market. But online really plays a role for the one-off sender, the consumer that wants something convenient, perhaps an alternative to the post office, something like that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they can then come into our store to experience the full service.
So progressing on through that bricks and clicks, where did you go through into the network then to move beyond that sort of?
Yes, so for a number of years I was operations manager looking after the operations of the network, which was a significant area of the business. And
that's a key franchising role?
Correct, yes, specifically in franchising. And then around about 2017, 18, my position changed to Chief Operating Officer, where I was working very closely with the CEO and founder to define and build the strategy going forward. And I was overseeing the franchise network, had the field management area reporting into myself, and really overseeing franchising, ensuring that our franchise partners were following the system, were continuing to grow, and were being supported in the right way to ensure their growth.
That must have been quite a moment to get COO of the network, something you've grown up through. How did that feel? What was that?
That was, it feels like it was ages ago now, but at the time I remember chatting to Michael Paul, who founded the business, about his future. And he was considering, well, what was he going to do? How long was he going to last in terms of when was he planning on retiring? Was he planning on selling the business? How did he want to structure the business? Was he planning on taking a back seat, which he never did, by the way? He led the business very strongly until he sold the business in 2021. But it was a great opportunity to really be involved, not just operationally, but at a more strategic level.
I was going to say, it must have been exciting and feel great given how much you gave to the company to be included and part of all of that.
Yes.
Those conversations with the
definitely. So he was a wonderful mentor, and I still connect with him regularly to see how the business operated at the operational level, and then really to get under the hood of the strategy and what makes a franchise system great from a much more strategic side of things in terms of the fundamentals of the model and what the offering is. And then ensuring that we've got a strong value proposition to market and a very clear and ambitious strategy for the future.
Yeah.
And so in around 2017, 2018, it was ensuring that we were continuing to grow the network and to ensure that the franchise partners had the tools and the technology to allow them to be successful in the future. So at that time, we launched an upgrade, talk about coming full circle, to our point of sale system that I rolled out back in store. And so by then I was more at a strategic level, managing or overseeing the rollout of and the development of the new technology that we launched, which was all cloud-based, which again was much more focused on improving productivity in the store. So we could handle,
as opposed to a customer.
That's right.
Perspective, more in store. Yeah.
Spot on. So that was it was a great time in the business, which then by 2020, 2021, Michael had made the decision with the other directors to put the business on the market. So my role at the back end of that period was helping prepare the business for sale and being involved in that part of it to ensure that the business was sold to the best possible purchaser to ensure, because I bleed blue and yellow, to ensure that it was in the right hands going forward.
Yeah, no, I've had a bit to do with Michael over the years. Lovely guy, very lovely guy. I'm glad he got a great outcome from it all.
Yes.
So how did that process go? What was the evaluation like at looking at and working with Michael? So how did you structure an approach? Because I'm sure this is of interest to many people, especially many founders of franchise networks would want to see what that exit looks like. So how did that go?
Yeah, so it was a period of time where we were actually approached by an external company, which got everyone into gear, thinking, well, this could be it could be now or it could be later at any time. So from there, it was a case of preparing the business, all the information and so on for sale, and ensuring that the business was continuing to grow. So we didn't put things on hold for
Business as usual.
It was business as usual, and ensuring that we were actually implementing our strategy at the time, or it was a year or so into us launching our software as a service platform. So we've got our online offering, which is for one-off type customers. We launched Pack and Send Live is what it's called, which is a software platform that enables online retailers to plug their shopping carts or marketplaces into our software, and then they can either organise the shipping themselves from their own premises, or we can manage it for them through our service centres, where we do the fulfilment offering.
Yeah, I've seen that when we've done a couple of tours of centres with
Yes.
stock levels for customers and everything sitting in their warehouse.
Correct.
Send it out when there's a purchase.
So that was in its infancy, and it was important to ensure that that was continuing to grow as well. So that was a key focus, to making sure that all of our products and services were in growth mode. And the live offering is it's still relatively new. It's a number of years old now, but it's evolved where we can provide the shipping services to the customers, as I say, where they can do it themselves and install or log into the platform and integrate their website. But the part that's of most interest, and it's growing the fastest, is the fulfillment side of things, micro-fulfilment. So a lot of our stores, if you think when I first started, they were 100 square metres, they were retail based, and we only had one. I think they were very ahead of their time in Penrith in Sydney, that was a warehouse. Fast forward about 15 years from then, all of a sudden we were starting to see more and more of our service centres being logistics service centres, is what we call them, where they're 200, 250, 300 square metre premises, where we provide the full pack and send services with the retail area, but the back of house is different. We've got the high ceilings, we've got the ability to store pallets, we've got the ability to do warehousing and provide a fulfilment solution for our customers. And that product is now one of our fastest growing, where customers recognise that we have storage space, we've got the capability, we've got the full access to the suppliers. And so many of these small businesses that we would service in yesteryear, they're all, if they haven't already gone online, they've got their own online presence.
So you're a real solution provider to these smaller retailers, aren't they?
That's right. So we now not only can provide the shipping solution, but we can provide the storage and fulfillment solution as well. So that at the time was a key part of our business and growing that area, and also ensuring that while Michael focused on trying to sell the business, that the business as usual was happening. And through that period, we continued to grow. And then COVID happened, of course, which we can never forget, although some want to.
Yeah, we'd love to.
For us, COVID was the demand went through the roof.
Yeah, I bet.
Everyone was at home, e-commerce boomed, and demand for courier services and shipping solutions went through the roof. So we rode that wave of significant demand, and at the same time, we went through this process of selling the business to now our owners, MBE Worldwide, who were based in Milan, in Italy. And we didn't meet them face-to-face through the whole process. It was all done via Zoom and Google Meet and so on. And now we built good relationships through that process, and that happened. The sale completed in March 2021.
Okay, so from that point on, you've become country manager or effectively CEO of the business. So that sale has happened. Tell me about how all that happened. So you've grown through the business. Michael has exited.
Yes.
Through that there. So what was left there at that time?
Yeah, so there was a handover period from Michael to the new owners, and the plan was always on sale for it to be left to be run locally, and I had the opportunity to apply to become the country manager to run Pack and Send. So I went through that process and was successful, and then now it's been a case of when the brand is owned by the same founder since the beginning. Of course, there's Michael was very much associated with the brand, and the brand was Michael. So now it's been a process of Pack and Send. It's been around for 30 years now. Transcends an individual and becomes its own. It can stand alone without the need for a founder, without the need for. It doesn't matter who's running the business or where it's being managed from, but it's such an established part of the business place in Australia. I got a chance to facilitate that transition, where ensuring that the values that I hold so dear and our franchise partners hold so dear, the culture of the business remained, whilst managing the transition of saying, well, what else is possible for the business? Where else can we take the business where we haven't had the opportunity to do so?
What's the MBE purchase, do you think, given Pack and Send in capability for future
that
it didn't have previously?
MBE worldwide, they own a number of other franchise businesses in different parts of the world. So there's a strong cultural alignment in franchising, which is excellent, because one of the fears was having an owner that didn't get or understand franchising, which is a very you need a particular set of skills to run a successful franchise organisation. And as well as that, what I've now been exposed to is not just the Australian experience, but the global experience. So I can chat regularly with how they do franchising in Europe and how they're supporting their franchise partners in different countries, or in the USA as well. So that has opened my eyes personally, but the business as well, to get access to a much bigger organisation that does this in over 50 countries in the world. So it's being able to take what we can learn and say, well, what can we implement in Australia that they do exceptionally well in different parts of Europe? So that's a key part of the successes we've seen already, being able to take the experience of very successful entrepreneurs or franchise partners in Spain or Italy and say, well, let's grab hold of that and facilitate conversations with Italian franchise partners with our franchise partners in Australia. So we've organised webinars trying to connect and integrate the brands, even though the brand names are separate. We are now part of a global organisation.
The solutions you're providing very similar, aren't they?
Very similar, because MBE in Europe, it's very much a shipping business as well. So there are a lot of similarities that we can draw from.
So what do you see the future? Where are your eyes set at the moment?
Yeah, so the future for us here is all encapsulated in what we call our sell, deliver, grow strategy. So for about the last 18 months or so, I implemented this strategy for the Australian and New Zealand markets, particularly, where we play in a market that has grown enormously since COVID, and it will continue to grow into the future. And we have such a small market share in the broader freight and logistics market. So the market's enormous, and what we have is we've got a leading reputation in the market, but not enough people know about us, and not enough businesses are using our services because they may not know how to access us, they might not know the full capability, and so it's ripe for the picking. So the sell, deliver, grow strategy is how can we, as a network at a national branding level, but also at a local franchise level, be much more proactive in getting out of the doors and going and connecting with the local community, local businesses, to advertise and to promote much more ambitiously our service offering. So our future is a combination of further expanding our footprint In Australia and New Zealand, we have 151 locations today, and that'll grow. The long-term ambition is to grow that to well over 350 locations. We've done a full territory potential analysis, and we want to be opening many stores a year, and we'll arrive eventually at the long-term aspiration. And by the time we arrive there, no doubt the opportunity will be even greater, and we'll keep on growing. So that's one part of it. The other part is ensuring that we're giving our franchise partners the tools and the enablers so they can grow their own local areas. So we've got a significant continued investment in technology. We're about to launch a new CRM platform that will be integrated with our point of sale system, which will help drive the growth. And we've also done a complete review and added a whole bunch of additional training to help our franchise owners in terms of advanced sales skills, key account management, ensuring that they're giving their customers the best service and support, not just at an operational level, but at a sales level, at a customer relationship level, so they can ensure that the growing share of wallet of their customers and the risk of losing a customer is really mitigated. So our focus at head office is supporting them with the systems, the training, to be able to go after their local markets the best they can.
Excellent. Well, if that's all done pretty well, then you're going to go from 151 to 350. That's going to be a great growth channel to watch. Nicholas, thanks so much for joining us today, mate.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much. And that's it for another episode of the Franchise Everything podcast. If you really enjoy these sorts of chats, we'll do plenty more. Please like, please subscribe, please share, show us your support. It'd be much appreciated, and we'll catch you in the next one soon.